Last year, South Ripley basketball was struggling. They had talent on the court, but something was missing. It seemed like every time pressure hit, they folded. But this isn't a story about talent, it's one about transformation.
I would say we were definitely mental midgets, as our coach says. We were immature and we didn't get along, and we really didn't play that well and didn't win a lot of games. Say when he first brought it up, being an older guy, like we never worked on this, and I thought it wouldn't work.
Stressful situations, you could see it on their face during the game, and a lot of times when push comes to shove late in the game, you would get that freak out moment, and being able to get them refocused on what they needed to be focused on, they would get frazzled and forget what was going on, and it caused problems.
Like I said earlier, we had the physical skills, but we had to have the total package.
Where we were still lacking was between the ears, and it really showed in tough games, tight games, especially rivalry games, where we were there and we should have won a few of those, but we collapsed in the big moment.
For years, South Ripley had the tools on the court, but it felt like when pressure hit, it was almost like the sky was falling. They tried to fix the problem. They bought a program, tried to implement it on the fly, but something didn't click.
We bought a program. It was a couple $100, whatever. We tried to learn it on the fly, but as the season goes, you guys know the manpower is stretched so thin anyway, trying to scout and practice prep and manage different players and all these different things that go on during the season. You add that behind the scenes where it's not something that you're really used to. We didn't really have a clear path on how we wanted to steer it and use that as a driving force to help us improve. So I don't want to say it didn't help us, but we didn't get out of it what we thought. And we look back on it like, man, it was a good idea, but we didn't know how to attack it fully.
We actually did something that we kind of created on our own a year before, and it helped, but it didn't really take us to where we wanted to go. We knew there had to be something better. We were still looking for that program that could help us with the big picture.
It's kind of like you hit on it and then it's over with, and then other than that, we never brought it up.
Yeah, it's kind of brushed over.
They started looking for a system, and they found one that clicked. A full plan for preparing, performing, and even resetting when things don't go well. And this time, something was different.
The coaching staff had to really buy in to sell it to the kids, and then we also had to sell it to the parents because we told them every week instead of court time we're going to have this classroom session. The program was laid out. It started here, went to here. How do you get ready for practice, and how do you have a really good practice? How do you prepare for a game? How do you decompress after a game? Basketball's not a game where you have time to take a break and say, hey, it's boom, boom. And so how do you handle those things and getting the kids to understand? And we're giving you tools. And then what was really neat was seeing the kids take those tools and using them during practice or during a game.
Just the science that goes into it behind it. You've got to buy into it, but it helps to know, that evidence behind it of what, okay, we're gonna talk about the breathing, the 4 cycles and your go-to statement, and your FMR and all those things, but this is why. Not just saying, hey, Drew, step up and hit a free throw, you got this, you've practiced it, you can do it. Take a deep breath. Well, what's really that mean, take a deep breath? Now we know where that comes from.
But I finally bought into it and it paid off in the end.
The Ripley County Tourney Championship against Batesville. It was a close game throughout because we gave up a little bit of a lead going into that second half, and I remember shooting free throws and I actually said my go-to statements and I hit every free throw.
I started playing a lot more during sectionals and everything, and starting to get my confidence back by doing these go-to statements and my FMR to calm me down in situations, knocking down some threes and helping us get through all that.
Then came the big moments. Moments where old South Ripley would have folded, but not this time.
They came back, which happens in basketball. It's a game of runs. And before, we would have folded. And that game, whatever it was, like Coach mentioned, the FMR, or whatever it was, your go-to statement, but we saw guys doing things, talking to each other, and working their way through those things, and we were able to win that game, which I really don't think, I believe we would not have won the 2 years before that in the situation that it was in.
I would say there was a couple different times during the season that happened. One of them being a game against Southwestern Hanover, which was a conference championship type of game. We had the lead most of the game. They came back, had them down about 6 or 8 points with about a minute and a half to go, and next thing you know, we're down 1. Our point guard gets fouled with less than a second to go and has to go to the free throw line for 2 free throws. And the other coach, as I would have done myself, called timeout just to make him think about it a little bit. And we got him in the huddle. All of our guys, you could just tell it was a different mentality at that point. It was, instead of everybody pumped up and jittery, and they sat down, they got a drink of water. They're like, "You got this, Drew. You got this." And you could just tell, "Yep, I got it." And he went out of the huddle, knocked down both free throws, and we ended up winning a huge game.
We won that game by 1, and I had some pressure free throws, and then I'd say that breathing techniques and it really helped me calm myself down and able to perform better for my team.
That game, that particular situation was so different from what we saw the 2 years before, whereas everybody was encouraging and bringing up all those tools that we had learned in class. And then the sectional championship game was a similar situation against the same team where we had built a lead. They came back and got it to 4 or 5. All the momentum, the whole gym was in their favor. We never blinked, and we ended up winning the game by 15 points because they were calm, they were relaxed, they were with each other, using all those tools that we had picked up during the season in class time. Using the mental training program is not going to guarantee you a sectional championship or a state championship, but I can guarantee you that we would not have won the sectional this year. We would not have been 19-0. We would not have been ranked number 1 in the state in Class 2A if we hadn't have taken that program.
The biggest win wasn't just a trophy, it was a cultural change that even showed up at the younger levels.
I think the biggest things that felt different this year is you just knew going into games that the kids had the tools to use to be able to understand pressure situations, to be able to handle that adversity, and just the way they were able to play together. The teamwork, the positive self-talk, but also the positive talk to other teammates was a night and day difference than what we've had the last few years, and really made all the difference in where our team went from one year to the next.
The culture, it not only carries, our varsity team, but our JV team, junior high kids, the student body in school, the community. It's just different because everyone sees that positiveness, the way the guys are carrying themselves, and that it uplifts everybody.
It was really neat to see our youth actually start to understand this program as well. And we brought in our junior high group, and I've got a son in junior high, and I have one that's a 5th grader, and so I brought him in as well. There were times in games where I'd go watch them, and I would ask them, hey, you did great, how'd you handle that? Well, I did my breathing. And I'm thinking, wow, I didn't even expect that. I didn't even think that they would put that into practice. But to see those kids at a younger age, and not just my own kids, but kids on the junior high teams that are handling situations that I've seen them play for the last 4 or 5 years, and they would have not handled that situation correctly. And now all of a sudden, by seeing our own high school program and how they handle things, as well as being a part of some of those classes and having coaches that are instilling those things into them, they were able to handle the moments better.
Older guys are going to be able to grab and say, hey, that's a great job, or hey, we don't act like that, in South Ripley basketball or South Ripley High School. That's not what we're doing here. That doesn't help us, or doesn't help you as an individual either. So let's refocus and try to go back down this path
It didn't just change the players either. It changed how the coaches coached.
Even myself, I'd be lying if didn't say, I'm more along the lines of, hey, toughen up, let's go. We've been through it in practice. We've practiced the situations. We've shot the free throws. Go do it. It's a little more old school, but so I'd be lying if I didn't say, going through each class before going through it with the boys, I had to make myself buy in and see it and think about my own experiences, whether it was a playing day or a coaching day, where I'm like, man, thinking about this up to this point, like, I've not been very good about that. So it helped me grow tremendously from even just my first 2 years here of going, I would have just yelled at this kid about this. Like, we just talked about it in the timeout. You come out and freak out, don't run it, don't execute, don't stay focused, whatever. Where now, you're able to grab them, put your arm around them, pat them on the butt, and laugh about something. And help them refocus. Go, okay, now, hey, go back out there and we're going to do this. It's just a totally different aspect. I was able to stay more calm on that side of things.
This isn't just some online course or motivational speech. It's a system, a blueprint. It's what's possible when you train the entire athlete, not just their body. If you're a coach who's watching this and thinking, man, we need this, you're right. Just like training your players physically in the weight room, training them mentally takes some intentionality. It takes a plan, but you don't have to start from scratch. This system gave South Ripley the tools to win close games, to build real confidence, and make some meaningful shifts in their culture in just one season. We're not going to guarantee that you'll win X number of games or bring home X number of championships, but what I can guarantee you is that intentionally training the minds of your players and teaching them how to take back control in high pressure situations is not only going to prepare them to be successful in your sport, but for the rest of their life. We'll help you put together your year-round plan that's customized to your sport, your team, and how you want to be able to implement this. If you're ready to implement a system that's going to forever change how your athletes compete and how your entire program approaches competition, then let's have a real conversation about what this can look like for your team. Make your plan and put it to work.